Oh, the guy was here.
Okay. Okay, I think let's start. Good evening, daughters. I think the past we already talking a lot about the.
I think that the gal's uh mic is having a small issue. How you doing, the gal? Yes. I think your mic is having a little issue.
Yeah,
I think it's the
it's
gal.
happened before.
Huh? The
It's
gal's mic
Right.
is having a little issue.
Hello，
Mike, 的 gal, how are you?
你好，你好，哎呀，好久不见啊！
很久不见了。
我这
你加我的动作，我这已经一起开启弄起来了。
这书记
我要
真是，
向你
这
学习多一点。I have to
好
learn from
感
you a
谢
little bit more. All the free on six. Okay. You,
啊！
Oh, I need to. Maybe it's good to hear from you. So maybe your son can help us a little bit. For something. I just think about that because son is very good with computer. When you start doing some AI voice assistant for the office, we had to organize that for each office. So you have an AI assistant to answer your phone and to train the AI so the AI will be smarter than anybody, train the AI to do that.
New technique 啊，
Yeah. I think you can, ask your son to help us a little bit.
we talk let's see what's the topic today. Let's see.
Today's topic that John will share with us,
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, yes.
yes, good. Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me, all right?
Yes.
Okay. Let me have a quick opening then and dedicated to the Dr. Hui and Allison. Actually, in the past, we talking a lot about the what we are going to do as a care first dental. We are right now not a DSO, but we can uh, make some strategy to maximum our as dentist. What we can get, you know, and I think here most of our doctor have their own dental office, and but right now that a lot of the DSO come out, okay, and some dentists, especially some dentists, uh, facing the retirement, what they are going to do. They are sell the DSO to the private insurance, private the doctor, or sell to the DSO. We know, if you sell your office to the private dentist, you cannot get that can match the value. If you sell to the DSO, the DSO have a lot of the requirement. And so based on what we know here, so Dr. Hui and Dr. Han and I, we are discuss this kind of the problem and the issue for a long time. Finally, we come to a solution, so we can bonding all our daughter who interested in maximum your practice value together to achieve next level. Okay, so for the dental office, we know basically, we the thing is when you get to the age retirement, okay, you want to sell your office. In the past, you have many ways. You sell to the private insurance, private doctor, or sell to the DSO. But right now, you have the third choice. Okay, we can bonding together to achieve something. Okay, so I'm just give a short opening, then let the Dr. Hui and Dr. Han explain the detail. Okay. I think as a Care First Dental, we are trying to make your practice all around perfect. Okay, so in the basically, our dental practice is a business. As a individual doctor, we are just a small business compared to big company. Is that right? But for this dental practice, there is some their own special field we have to pay attention. Okay, uh, for our strategy is like this. Okay, first, the most valuable part for our practice is the patient retention. That means you have a lot of recall patients. Is that right? I make a very I have a very bad experience. Okay, for the past 10 years, I built up the office, but I just do the implant. Okay, that means I don't have the recall, that much recall patient. I just use the internet, get the patient. But until now, for the past during the pandemic, I visit a lot of the office, especially our digital dentist. I find the good dentist, the patient retention is very important. And the next thing, as a doctor, but if you just have the learn the technique from the dental school, it's not enough. So after you graduate, you have to build up some expanding the clinical skill, like the dental implant, Invisalign, and the sleep apnea, cosmetic dentistry. That's good. The more you do, it help you practice a lot. Okay, and another thing, the third part is we call the DSO collaboration. Right now, why the people DSO come out, because DSO as they have their own strengths. They can centralize management the practice. Okay, they can do the HR, marketing, and whatever together. So make the practice efficient. Also, these are the value. Okay, the office, the EBITDA looks good. Okay, later Dr. Han will talking more about this. Okay, we are, we're talking a lot as a individual solo practice. Okay, we are just a small business. We didn't have that many equity to talk about. Okay, but while we're bonding together, we have something. Okay, so here we as a Care First Dental, we try to help our member to three part, okay, three aspect. The first part is the patient retention, okay. Right now we are in the AI age, a lot of the software and a lot of the things come out can help us. And I know Dr. Hui, he has the full dental office, but right now he can, 100% don't work at his own office. He hired the associate managing the practice. That's the very, he have a lot of experience how to deal with the patient retention. This is our first valuable part for our dental practice. Okay, next. Let me see. Okay. Sorry, let me have some. Can you hear my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, yeah. Okay, the patient retention strategy. Okay, and for our member, we are Dr. Hui, and we have some the specialists that can teach us how to do this. Okay, and oh, okay. Next, okay. So the second part, we have the for our doctor who join us, we will help our doctor to develop their expanded clinical skill. Like, in the next month, okay, in the Seattle, Dr. Han will teach us the full mouth reconstruction on the teeth, okay, teach us how to do the occlusion and the deprogrammer, this kind of skill, okay. And she already developed his office. Her office is cosmetic office. For the past many years, she developed the lot of the valuable skill. She will teach us. She learned a lot from the college center about that. Okay, and so if for example, if you have the skill, if you know how to do the implant, okay, do the Invisalign, do the sleep apnea, do the cosmetic dentistry, that will be help you practice a lot. Okay, this is the second part. We try to help our doctor. Mm. Okay, this is all the skill. Actually, this part is it's not hard. Okay, right now with the digital technique, it's pretty easy for us to integrate this kind of technique to our office. Okay, the third part. Okay, this part we have right now. We know DSO have a lot of the value, okay, and they are for the especially for the finance, okay, we can even double, even triple our own practice value. Okay, this part, Dr. Han, today we're talking about it. So I think during the past we're talking a lot about the DSO. So I think most of us already know about that. But what we don't know, not very clear for every doctor is how is your value, your practice value increase after you join the Care First Dental. Okay, this part and Dr. Hui and Dr. Han will give explanation more and detail today. Okay. Okay. Here I don't want to share too much here, and tonight. Okay, well, I want to say this. For the Care First Dental, the most valuable part is in the beginning. When you join us, when you sign the last time we're talking about it, you sign the NDA, you just okay, you still maintain your practice independence, okay? But until a point, we are using the consulting company and the bank. I try to buy your office out. Okay, this is the actually is the big plan. We need more time to explain this. But here I point out, okay, this one is for you. It's no risk in the beginning. Okay. Okay, so we can make this three part, patient retention, skill expansion, and DSO collaboration together, make the new business model. Okay, this part for in the past, it's hard for us to understand, but right now is AI technique, and also for the in our group, we already have some doctor already achieve something. Okay, like Dr. Hui, he have the for office, and he run the office, use the strategy, learn from the DSO and the other the leader in the dentistry field, and also like Dr. Han, his office and the 3 million dollar, 3 million practice, and right now she just sometimes just work 1 day in the office. Most time she focus on she developed the life sheet. We already know the life sheet software, and also she can teach us on the full art reconstruction on the teeth. Yeah, that's the most pretty valuable part for the care first dental. Okay, so today we just like the Dr. Hui and the Dr. Han explain the most about the equity part of the our care first dental. Then you can join us after you sign the NDA. Then you can join us. Okay, I think I stop here and dedicate the time to the Dr. Hui or Dr. Han.
I think we talk about quite a few times as far as the NDA. We look at it more like a consent form. I mean, all of us has been in dentistry for a while. Basically, we have pretty much all our patient sign a consent form. Okay, so you know, there's something going on with the patient if they don't want to sign any consent form. The consent form is basically a part of the process that you have actually explained to them what need to be done. And that consent form is very critical because you actually give them the opportunity to go over what the situation is. So when we have every single one of our patient, sign a consent form, we know the consent form just is not something that's going to tell you, hey, you got to do this. No, it's not something that bound you to anything, but it actually show that you're willing to participate. The willingness to participate is very important. And most of the time, we want to make sure the patient is willing. Otherwise, patient can always say, hey, I never tell you to do this, and I don't actually like this, and and we don't really want to have that situation. So at least, on both sides, we know that, the patient is, willing to go through the procedures, and that's something that, we didn't force a patient to do something like that. Because these days, unfortunately, American people always think that, oh, you just tell me a get rich quick scheme, and I thought it's a get rich scheme, and you didn't put down any disclaimer, things like that. So it's really for that purpose. And all of us actually have been practicing for quite some time. So all of us have some tricks and ideas. Okay. Most of the time, the issue is just that a lot of time you don't think about it. You didn't think about those tricks and issues that we have gone through. Like, for example, I talked to Dr. Gao. He teach me a little bit about 3-on-6. How do you become a silver member? How do you become a gold member? He's been there and done that. So I just basically copy what he does, and I tell, my people, this is what we wanted to do. And, we're going to create our own because it's a good system. You implant and, some people, he's telling me that some people is doing like 20 some arches a month, basically at least one arch per day, and I've seen people that do 3 arches per day, in my office. There's a guy who his brand is called Done For You. And then, he rented my office for a short time and he paid a lot of rent for me. And then, he do, 3 arches per day, and that's all he does. But then the thing is, sometimes when you only do one thing, you forget about the little things. And this is something I learned from Clear Choice. The reason why Aspen bought Clear Choice for, 1.1 billion is the fact that, there's a lot of maintenance on those people that you do full arch. Because if you just do the full arch and then you don't maintain them, they're going to start falling apart. Okay, and that's very, very important. So all of us have a way to learn from other people how to make the workflow much easier, especially from other people who have done it before. I'm talking about Dr. Gao, Dr. Eddie, and these people have done it before. And then there's some other areas, like for example, I meant to Cecilia, I mentioned to her that, one of our hygienists can do really high numbers and how she does it, and how she educate and how she teach, why she, really what much wanted to do, all four arches in 1 hour. I mean, because you can do all four arches in 1 hour, her incentive is much higher. So there's a reason why she want to do that. And then she educate the rest of the team, to do that. So when they do the same situation, then she elevates into different tiers. There's a reason how, other company have done a lot of research. And basically what our goal is just to, not steal the homework, but to borrow the homework so we can have the same success that they do. So, and it's not something that is difficult. It's just people have already done it. We don't really need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to copy what they do. So I guess another part is about equity part. I mentioned before that equity is really the name of the game because that's the part that grow without we knowing it. Okay. One example I mentioned to my team is during 1913 to today, which is about 100 years, our dollar had depreciated 97%, which means that if you have $100, back then, you only have $3 at this, it's only worth $3 at this point. What you really had to think about how you grow your money without you thinking about it. That's the inorganic growth. And that's something that we'll talk extensively to figure out how we can grow it instead of just doing it doubling. We can do it quadruply and do it a little bit in the bigger scales. But obviously, we're not trying to tell people how to get rich quick, overnight. But there's a rule of thumb that people have been doing that. You can just basically copy it. But the fact of the matter is we need to focus on who is going to be our team player because our team player is really, really key. So that's basically what I think is important. I think Dr. Allison already set up some example and we have confirmed with, some private equity company. She basically worked with ChatGPT a little bit here and there and then try to get out the equity part. So I guess without further ado, I would like Allison to, share what she learned and then we can go from there. Allison?
Okay, let me get my presentation open up here. Okay, I'll start with the inorganic growth first. Let me share it. And then we can revisit a little bit the organic growth after that. And I think it'd be great to hear questions as we present, because it is a lot of information. And it's nice to hear what you think and how this process means for you, I think. So, okay, let me start sharing. Okay. Okay, so so there's a scenario that we were working on, because I think if we work on some real numbers, it might make more sense than looking this table here. I need to remember. I think you guys have seen my screen, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I try
Yes.
to minimize this, I guess, but okay. So for example, right, if you take a $3 million practice that's makes like $3 million every year, we call annual recurring revenue. So you make 3 million every year annually. So this practice is usually valued at 450,000, but for the math, we're just going to say about $500,000 for EBITDA. I mean, it could be more, it could be less, but we're just going to say $500,000. So when a DSO come in, you probably see like there's like 5 times EBITDA to like 14 times EBITDA. So let's say a DSO of $80 million come in and buy your practice, or a DSO of $10 million. They all gonna pay 6 times EBITDA because that's a market rate right now. So let's say you have 500,000 times 6. Shh, Alyssa. That will be, they'll pay $3 million for your practice. So the first year, they'll give you $1.5 million right away, like cash, they're just gonna pay you. And then for the next 5 years, they're gonna pay 200,000 for the next 5 years. So that's another $1 million, but you have to work there for 5 years. So they gave you 2.5 million. So they allow 500,000 to be invested inside DSO. And let's say it generates 2% capitalization. Obviously, it won't be 2% if you are joining DSO at $80 million. It's probably less, right? But let's say you join somewhere here, a platform that's light platform. So you put $500,000 of your money into the DSO, it brings you 2% equity share. So now let's say this DSO, you have a question? Do you guys have any questions?
Not yet.
Wait. So the next 5 years, the DSO as a whole, right, generates $80 million as an annual recurring revenue. And let's say this DSO 80 million has an EBITDA of $20 million. So this EBITDA, we're doing the math, right? I mean, we want to be a bit conservative, so we run some number here. So we're like, okay, in like 6 times the EBITDA of 20 million would be 120 million. Hey, it's that. I'm sorry, guys. 8 times of 160, so 10 times with 200. Hey, we don't. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry, guys. So obviously we know it's more than 6 times or 8 times or 10 times. Usually, if you generate $80 million as a whole, right? Let's say you have 50 practice, you generate 80 million. It's probably 14 times the EBITDA. You can go to that room though. So, I mean, we've seen some deals. So value at 18 times EBITDA, right? So if you're 20 millions and your value at 14 times, that's like about $280,000 worth for that DSO. And we see if your EBITDA is running well, I mean, if all the 40 practices running well, then you can go as high as 18 times EBITDA. That's the maximum we've seen. I mean, I'm sure you can go higher. It depends how much private equity is willing to pay for this group of practice. And it's usually projection. At that point, you have to deal with a pro forma, and they cost about $5,000 to $10,000 to run for private equity come in to purchase us. So the question is, okay, well, let's say conservatively, I invested 500,000, 2% of the equity share in this EBITDA. So what does it mean for me? It means that let's say the DSO go to 6 times EBITDA is worth 120 million, then your 500 million becomes 2.4 million. And you can see it can go up to 4 million. People was like, is that for real? Yes, this is very real. Like if you join a DSO, this is how they can explain to you. But the advantage here is that most DSO are usually pretty mature at about 18 times EBITDA. But if you form your own DSO, you start here. So you have $1 million. We buy you a lot more equity than 2%. And as you grow this to 80 million, then it's probably worth more than $4 million. And this is something that we call merge acquisition. It's a principle of arbitrage in finance. And most dentists don't understand that. Most dentists joined a DSO when they're already like 100 something practices, 18 times EBITDA. They purchase you a 6 times EBITDA, put $500,000 there. Probably you get less than 2%. And dentists don't understand the value of equity. I understand just because I have a startup and we deal with equity and control on a daily, like not daily basis, but quite often, right? Because we deal with investors, VCs. So those are the number games that when you see IPOs like traded stocks, I mean, it's very similar to that, but because you don't have a finance background, it's hard for a lot of dentists to understand when you sell to a mature DSO, you don't get much equity. You get less than 2%. And that's where you lose your inorganic growth. Whereas when you form your own, you're building equity within your practice. You use it, you practice as a vehicle to build equity a much more higher rate than if you join when the DSOs mature. So yes, you can build equity using your business, but you can build equity also, sorry, a second, through a merger acquisition, which is arbitrage technique. But we have 3 years to really form a good DSO right now. Like you can see, most DSO they freeze acquisition unless you have a $3 million practice. I was talking to them because we use our practice as a, you can say as a something that's very attractive for them to give us this evaluation. And even then, they didn't want to put in writing these numbers. We talk about it verbally. I didn't want to present this until I confirmed this number with another DSO, and you know they would never put this in writing for you just because they don't want to be health responsible. But oftentimes they will explain like this is how they would do it verbally. But it doesn't mean that most dentists understand equity. But this is what happens to you when you join DSO at this end game. And I'm not sure how much you get in terms of 2% or 0.1% of capitalization table. And that's where you lose a lot of money, like millions. But a lot of these people don't tell you. Most dentists say, oh, great, no, it's valued at 3 million. I get 1.5 million, and then every 5 years I get 200,000, and then I get 500,000, invest in the capitalization probably for 0.1% of the equity. Like you think it's a good deal, but it's actually not a good deal. I mean, it's not a good deal if you could have the opportunity to build your own DSO. Because you lose a lot of equity here. Any questions?
Allison, questions. What is the building your DSO versus selling it to a DSO? I mean, how long does that take?
9 to 12 months to build your own DSO. You hire a law firm that's equipped to handle DSO, an accounting firm that's equipped to handle DSO. Like I would go for Dykema and CLA. Like I have my own accounting firm, right, for my startup, and it's Carney. It's different from my other firm for my dental practice. So you have to get professional. It's like you're not gonna, how can I say this? You want a qualified dentist to handle your full mouth reconstruction, right? You don't want something like they've never done anything like that, and they go ahead and do a full, like the dentist has to be trained. They have to understand what they're doing, and they've done it like for 10 years or something like that to handle this kind of merger acquisition. So my law firm that handle my practice is Henderson, and his dad was a dentist and he is a lawyer. But because of his dad, he knows a lot about dental practices, and it's fine. But then my startup law firm is Carney and Sweeney, and they like, I mean, one of the partner is the used to be a senator, So like, because what we're dealing with like medical insurances and payers, so we want a stronger representation. So it's at the long term, it's an investment, right? If you're building $300 million DSO, which I think NDPO group can reach that level, you only need 40 clinics, really, healthy clinics. And LifeSeek can bring you to 80 million from organic growth, which I'm going to talk about. I've done a lot this, I mean, we're doing 2 startups here. We have, the experience to handle this kind of finance and accounting and HR. HR, you can do ADP. I wouldn't do Gusto. I mean, right now my practice is Gusto as HR, right? But ADP would be the better one, or something similar to ADP that can handle multi-states, retirement, over 60 employees, like things like that. And then the law firm and accounting firm, they can handle that, that they have DSO experience more than 10 years. So 9 to 12 months, you put it together. And then you make sure that you have your bylaws, your business plan, and your cap table. Those are the 3 main important things. The lawyer put it in black and white. And it's just like you buying a pre-IPO stocks like company. So, and DSO has been formed like for over 10 years, right? So these documents are pretty legitimate. I mean, they went through a lot of like lawsuit before we do this. So it's pretty mature, this document. So it's not like a startup. Like, I mean, what I do right now, it's a lot more harder in terms of finance. That's why we have a CFO on board. But these are not that hard to put together because you are established and you have a capital, like a workflow. We don't have a workflow. We're not very established. We're pushing things that it's never been done before. And we're solving a problem that no one has seen before. So this is a lot easier to do a DSO merge acquisition. I mean, a lot of business merge, right? Like car industry, any industry, they merge and they acquire other businesses. This is not new. This is just pure old school finance. I just, as a dentist, I completely understand it's unfamiliar to us, but the system is built for this. As long as you have the right lawyer, the right accountant, the right HR, this shouldn't be, you're not reinventing the wheel. And what's nice is that, if you sell solo, you're losing values, like your EBITDA, right? You're getting a much more lower, like probably 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 if you have 3 million, right? So, but what you're losing is when you join a mature DSO, you're losing millions. Like you can see the number, it's probably more than $4 million you lose. Just because your cap table, you're joining something that's already valued 80 million and you haven't grown your equity yet. And your 500,000, your $500,000 can maybe only buy 0.1, like less than that possibly. So you're losing a lot of $1 million right there. But most dentists don't understand that when they join DSO, and they don't want you to understand that because DSO, there's only over 100 something private equity that owns a bunch of DSO. And the problem is that healthy practice to purchase, they are kind of saturated. I mean, there's no more good. I mean, it's getting right now they're looking 3 years. By 3 years mark, most of healthy practice and dentists who need to retire will be gone of the market. And then at that point, they have to merge among themselves. That's why Lex is interested, because we want to not do inorganic growth, but organic growth. Like how can we improve, like how we move, hotel to airline industry, automate the front office, the whole admin team. So you just have a cabinet crew, and then you run the airport, right? The crew in the airport. It's not even your own employees. It's just implementing the airport to disembark your your clients from the aircraft. But all you have in payroll is just your crew, your pilots and your cabin crew, and it's very lean, right? So for dentistry, life is like, well, let's say you don't have, we cannot have admin crew, maybe a lot less the administrative crew, but mainly your clinical crew now, and that's it. That's all you have to worry. But definitely bringing the organic growth to more than 3%, which is the national rate right now in the US, is what interests us to help most practices, DSO and private equity to achieve. But this is something here, what I'm presenting here is that you can build your retirement not just from your practice, but from a merger acquisition, we call arbitrage technique. And it's very real. It's not that hard neither. Any other questions? Yeah, I think it's important to understand that because you're leaving on the table a lot of money. It's not like 200,000, probably 4, 5, 6, 8 million if you join a DSO at the wrong time. And I think NDTO does have a good chance to form its own DSO and go $80 million and more. And everything will be legally handled by a lawyer and accountant, not by Dr. Zhang or Dr. Hu or myself. It's going to be a law firm, that's been competent and that's been doing DSO for many years. We manage it, but it doesn't mean that we're going to do all this legal document ourselves or the accounting ourselves. And then we hire HR. So because like LifeSeek, for example, right? We had to hire an accounting firm that's like, I have to have a personal accountant. We now have a taxation accountant and an audit, right? Because when you go to a $300 million DSO, you can't just have your own accountant handle things. You have to have an accounting team that might have to audit a DSO so that it's transparent. And you want that transparency voluntarily, not because you're forced to. It's a whole different level of accountability, responsibility when you go to that kind of business, right? It's not just, and yet you're dealing with like probably 1,600 employees at that point. So I mean, LifeSeek, we were projecting a lot more employees. So you have to build a system to handle those things properly. And I think merger acquisition, the recipe's been created. We just have to have the right pro to handle it. Any other questions?
So my question is, how do you see the step-by-step to actually become a DSO for us?
So every practice need a P&L, right? And we need your codes, like what you run the most. Like is it ortho? Is it crown? Is it implant? We want to see how healthy your practice is. We want to see your production, like on a yearly, monthly, everything, right? And also your staff, like how healthy, stable your staff is. And to us, I think for Dr. Hu and Dr. Zhang, we want to start with the NDA first. So I think the deadline will be 2 weeks from now. And then whoever submit the NDA, then we call like in finance, actually not finance, in account, because we don't involve finance yet. Accounting is called the due diligence. We want to see your financial health and transparency. And if you feel like, hey, you're not ready, then we can plug in LifeSeek into your numbers and we can do those numbers for you. So you don't have to hire a bookkeeper to give those numbers because they're what, $7,500 an hour. So you have to provide, just like when you sell a house, you have to provide some accounting. And then as a DSO, we have to provide financial numbers to you and accounting numbers to you and HR numbers to you because the easiest thing against is HR, right? We handle HR wrong, different state, different retirement. I mean, that's the easiest thing to handle wrong. That's where the lawsuit come from. So we're not going to handle HR, the DSO. The HR is going to have a professional team to handle the HR. But we need the due diligence. And that's why LifeSeek want those numbers, right? Once you have a software, we're going to plug in the numbers. And, you know, we're startup as a DSO. We don't have a whole management team. That's how we keep the cost low. So first come, first serve. So if you send me NDA, then we're going to start evaluating maybe we can plug in the software first. And then you might want to clean up your P&L first. And maybe 3 months, 6 months to clean up your P&L to make it valuable so that your EBITDA looks good. And then, I mean, we can help you with that, right? Your productions and your P&L, like what you should write out, what should not, like your team and everything to clean up a little bit 3 to 6 months. And then we anticipate 9 to 12 months to be part of a DSO. I mean, let's say you have like 30 applicants, right? Then we can only do probably a few a month. So we're gonna pick the one that have the highest production, the ARR, the annual recurring revenue. Because I mean, as a DSO, as a founding members, we had to start with strong candidates first, right? And we definitely want that to drive it, even for anyone that join us, because solidifying the founding members is a key element for any DSO. I mean, that's how we would do it first. We call it due diligence in accounting. Either we do it or we hire an accountant to do it. But that's your homework. And then we provide the legal and the finance and the HR from our end as a DSO. But if you want to minimize the cost of due diligence, then we can plug all these numbers into the PMS, the practice management software, into LifeSeek. And then we run these numbers and project it to you. And you're like, hey, I don't like the numbers. I don't like my EBITDA. Then you have a chance to improve it 3 to 6 months. Probably 6 months. And meanwhile, if they're good enough, the preliminary numbers are good enough, then you can sign, we call it MOU, like, and then we can start talking about the cost, how to integrate into a DSO, and then what's your cap table, what equity percentage do you get from a DSO, which I think is the most interesting part. I mean, yes, you get a cash equivalent, but the equity table is actually a lot more. I mean, I think the cash is pretty good too, but the equity table is actually very attractive as well. If you the earlier, like as a founding member, the earlier join, the better it is for you. Yeah, the due diligence is same than if you join any DSO. It's the same paperwork that to look at the health, the financial health of your practice. Like if you sell to another DSO, it's the same documentation you would need to provide. It's just standard.
Alison, I think there's a question in the chat. I think it's from Dr. Huan. I think I was saying that he is not, or he or she is not aware of, much in this area. He doesn't understand how that comes to place. What is their responsibility? I think maybe we can say this. Our first primary goal is to growth, is to how we can help you to grow, as far as the member of the DSO. And it's totally your decision as far as if you want to sell or you don't want to sell. I mean, we're not gonna, force you to do something that you don't want to. But basically, the key ingredient is to grow your practice, and I think growing your practice means increase your productions. How, I would love to have somebody to help me to grow my practice so I don't have to really struggle too much, especially if somebody's already done this area and how to update my practice to kind of digitize all my situation, like put everything on Slack, have all my protocol, all my things already work out in digital form. So I can just stick it out to somebody who is brand new and then can onboard them in about 2 weeks. And then, get them to like a fully experienced person with a very, reasonable, competent staff, So, the first goal is to really grow, and grow means, improving your profits and improving your bottom line. And most of the time, over the times, I think medicine and dentistry is the one that still stay in a very traditional way of forms of business that we doesn't really digitize all our processes, all our systems. So we don't really have systemization and automation that we dial out. So the first part maybe will take a little bit longer for some people, and for others is to really bring you, update as far as, what the modern dentistry would be focusing on, what are the things that we should be focusing on to bring up our bottom line. That's really the first most important thing. And once we can do that, and then we can, put our numbers together, and then we can update our profit margins. And then, obviously there's always a good side and a downside, okay? The pros and cons like anything else. Obviously my thing, I would probably say the worst case scenario. And Allison can say the best case scenario. Okay, the worst case scenario, you're gonna make a lot more money than what you're making now. That's really the worst case scenario. You'll learn different procedures, how to use, learn from other people who have done this before, how other people in the same DSO has done it before, like saving money, having a AI assistant, handling your phone calls, educated, and be able to streamline all your process. So in case you suddenly, everybody in your front desk walk away, you don't have to worry about it because you already have a system behind you. People say the most important thing in your business is your system. So at least you have a system that, you can take off maybe a month or 2 months at a time and everything still work the same. So that's a systemization's, question. And then the second thing would be how you can improve and make the automation. So this way you're going to have your staff basically work for you, more. Maybe, you will push more your responsibility and things to, have your staff to help you to do your procedures. So that would help you, and or your doctors to help you, so that this way, even though you come into work or not, these people can help you to finalize the bottom line. So this way they will be able to, grow the money for you. Like, for example, you don't have to, push so hard every day to make sure that you're the one who's, the guy who brings all the money in. Your hygienist, your assistants, and all these people is going to be helping you to bring the money in. Those are, somehow most of the other practice does. We basically just learn and try to, make the best out of it to improve our bottom lines, and to be able to, add more profit and bottom line. That's basically the worst case scenario. And
Harold, can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
So you talk about this process of growth and expansion,
Right.
and slowly hiring associate to replace yourself.
Yes.
Right. So you don't have to work and all that good stuff. So you can take off whatever, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Right. How long is that gonna take?
For some people, it might take a longer time because most of the time, the way I see it is really mindset. Because right now, even though in your practice, you probably would like to have somebody to do your fillings and stuff, and then you basically just really want to focus on cosmetic veneers and maybe implants. So the basic things, you can actually have you can probably hire an associate. Right now is perfect time. So many people knocking on my door to be hired because all these new associates, they really want a job. So if you know how to iron out the arrangement, okay, you can really get good associate. The key is you want to have the best team in your back. You want to find the best associate. What I usually
So
okay.
that's what the NDA is about, is you training us how to hire associates.
No, the NDA is just saying it's almost like a consent form that we have.
No. I know. It's more than that. I understand, but it's like your due diligence and your all that financial stuff to get enrolled. But it could take 6 months. It could take 6 years, right? And
Right.
then, but the thing is, nobody. I mean, you're waiting for this arbitrage of 20 million, 30 millions to aggregate.
Oh, wait. So,
And then until you have that revenue, you really can't present your group to venture capitalist or whatever buyer.
let's go back. So I think when I present finance and merger acquisition, I think something got lost in translation. So organic growth throughout the United States, 3%. So that is not arbitrage. Like how to hire an associate, how to expand, that's organic growth.
Right.
Life is part organic growth. And
Right.
that's something different, right?
Right.
So merger acquisition happens very quickly. Like let's say you have 10 practice, each makes 1 million. So if
Right.
you want to go to 40 million, let's say you need
Yeah, 40 practice. Yes, I get it. That's that
right.
one instance of time. But then that 40 practice of $1 million may grow into 2 millions each
Right,
by your
but
way of life seed, right?
yes, but right now we're not talking about organic growth right now.
No, I know. But I'm
So
saying that, but of these 40 practice, maybe only 5 wants to sell. The 20, 35 people may not want to sell.
I mean, I mean, in order to join a DSO, right? I mean, it's part of joining a DSO, right? So all I'm saying is that merger acquisition is inorganic growth, and this happened very quickly. The moment you acquire the revenue of a practice, that's your growth.
Right.
So your equity growth from buying practices, not organic growth. So there's two numbers they're looking at. It's the EBITDA and the cap table, your equity. So I'm not sure, Dr. Huang, that if Dr. Huang, if you can have a
What
dialogue.
determines your cap table?
So the cap table is determined, let's say you have 10 practice, let's say $1 million practice, 10 of them, 10 million, right? So you issue 100 shares, and those 100 shares is worth like, because like there's some share that are reserved for the founders, right? Like Dr. Zhang, Dr. Hu, myself, and then there's certain share that we reserve for like private equity and certain share for the participating dentists. So the cap table will have its own composition. And then let's say you have a $1 million practice and we give you 500,000 cash, and then 100,000 will go to cap table. How much that turn into equity will be determined by the lawyer, not by any of us, like not Dr. Hui, not Dr. Zong, myself. So it will be determined how much equity you get out of the 100,000. And then as this DSO buy practices, it became 40 million. So $40 million, depending what number you are with the EBITDA, then this pie is probably worth probably 200 million. So let's say you put $100,000 there, it's like 1% share because you joined very early. So that 1%, right, look at the number, right? Like it can go up to whatever $1 million we show earlier. So you go up to like $2 million if we grow it to like 40 million. And it's just a number of practices we purchase. And the problem with most DSOs is that they run out of practice purchase because they have to bring in the people who have the same culture, I'm not saying culture in terms of like we're Asian, right? I'm talking like culture in terms of practices, like your business culture. I'm talking about that, right? And then some sort of trust and commonality in there. So to answer Dr. Huang's question is that, like, do we all join DSO? It depends, right? You have to look at, can we as DSO improve your EBITDA? And can we as a DSO improve your equity number, the cap table? So those are the two things you need to remember, the EBITDA and the cap table, how much equity you get from this DSO. And do we have to, can we grow this, right? The bigger the EBITDA, the higher your equity share that you can purchase from us. So the EBITDA is like, let's say you make 1 million, right? 7% go to expenses because you're just not good at managing your business. So your EBITDA might be 100,000, but let's say someone's $1 million practice and the expense is only 500,000, then your EBITDA might go 300,000. And then that can convert into different equity, the cap table. So organic growth is supposed to help you to improve your EBITDA, and cap table is like how many practice we know. I think NDP probably have a lot of practice we know, and some of them are fairly healthy. And then as you purchase them, it's inorganic growth. It's very straightforward. It's not that hard. Like let's say this year we have 10 practice because we all join in by December, and then next year we have 20 practices and we average about 25 million. You just increase your equity. You just went from 100,000 to probably 800,000 just in a year. So inorganic growth is how fast we can purchase practices. And like the problem right now is like Evident is one of the DSO we work with. The 24 practices, 5 perio, 1 endo, and they're just a group of friends. They all go to Frank's Pier for some reason, and some go to Coy's. So they formed it during COVID, and they meet monthly. And they're just friends, like 24 owners, actually 5 pair practice is just 1 owner. So, and then they grow this very nicely. And then now they're worth 50 million. 24 practices worth 50, they make $50 million a year. And now they want to expand. And they bought, so they're in like Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland area, Seattle area. So now they expand in Marysville, which is like a market they have no clue, but which is okay. But then the owners, the 2 owners, they're not friends. They don't know each other. So they start to have like personal issues, vision issues, and they, instead of going from 50 million to like, they purchased those 2 by 53 million, right? But then the one dentist quit, right? Because they have internal issues. Like now that they hired an associate, the numbers for that practice went down. Like that's the problem that most DSOs having. It's like, do you have a culture? What bonds you together so that you don't have this kind of like instability, especially when you replace a doctor or a dentist. I mean, you might waste $500,000 to $1 million to replace a doctor, right? So you don't want that kind of friction internally. So this is the kind of problem, is that you can't, I mean, it's easy, like merger acquisition, say, hey, I have 10 practice, next year I buy 10 more, well, like 25 million or 30 million. Now my EBITDA went from like 3 times to 8 times. So my 100,000 when it's probably worth 800,000 now. I mean, the numbers, it's great, but when you deal with people, it's complex. But merger acquisition is this simple. It's just how many revenue you get from acquiring businesses. But on the other hand, management, the organic growth is a whole different level, right?
I understand all this, but what bonds us together? What does carefree DSO bond us? What is the shared common culture?
So that's why Dr. Huang said, do we all join Care First? The answer is that it depends. Like we have to make sure we all have, it's not for everyone. So once you sign NDA, we have to make sure that we have the same vision, the same.
What is the vision?
I think it's gonna be part, I mean, we don't want to talk about it here because it's part, like we have to sign NDA and it's part of a business plan, the bylaws, everything. But we don't want to discuss out and open until you sign an NDA.
Oh, so we won't get to see until we are about to sign it.
Once you're part of us, sign NDA does not mean that you're part of the DSO, right? It's just you will have more selective, more sensitive information.
Okay.
So we can share that with you. So this way, we're on the same page. Because sometimes, you see a lot of people, they always say, oh, you had to put a disclaimer here, the disclaimer there. Every classes that I went, they always say this is not a get rich quick scheme. They have to put down disclaimer and basically the NDA is just, and if you look at the NDA, Eddie, between you and me, it's not. I don't want to say it's not enforceable. I mean, I have signed so many NDA myself. It's pretty much, everybody asks you to sign an NDA. Okay. Even though I'm trying to purchase this company, they asked me to sign NDA just to give me what do you call it? Last year, production. So I'm buying this manufacturing company. They do chairs. They build chairs, and then they call
Yeah, yeah, I remember you showed me pictures of it.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm buying this, and then he asked me to sign NDA. I signed an NDA, but then he told me his number doesn't look so good. He doesn't want to give it to me. So it doesn't matter to me. To me, it's not important. What's important is if I really make money going for that business because I see an opportunity. I see an opportunity that, we can really profit because all the stuff that we're buying here is really all from China anyway. If you can make it, somehow it's made in the United States, we can profit from that. That's an easy fix. I mean, you bought all these lab stuff, they're all pretty much from China, and then you pay a lot of taxes and this and that. But if you can eliminate all the taxes, make it a lot easier, make it home free, and then you can call it made in the United States, your life will change right away. So I'm not so concerned about, any of the thing that they asked me to sign. I signed it without even thinking twice. But the guy didn't even give me the last 2 years tax return. I don't really care. Okay. I just negotiate what he's gonna make in the next 3 years. So I don't have to pay anything down payment. I don't have to pay anything. I'm just using his profits to buy his business for myself.
So my question to you about this DSO is like, I can go and buy like 5 different dental offices, right? And
Mhm.
just hire associate to run. And
Yeah,
then I'm like the 100% owner of that.
right. I
But
mean,
now if I join my 5 offices with you guys,
yes.
and now it's bigger, EBITDA, bigger, this and that, but my cap rate is actually less, right?
No, I think your cap rate actually is more. What Allison was saying, when you're in the beginning of the level, think of it like a MLM, like a multi-level marketing, or like, Amazon. See, I explained to my nephew earlier in dinner time is my nephew couldn't understand what is borrowing people's, labor and borrow people's money. The reason why Amazon has been losing money for over 10 years is because their business really don't make money. Okay. But somehow Jeff Bezos make a lot of money. His stock went up almost like 1,000 or 2,000 times. And that's the inorganic growth that because people are putting money, people are betting that they are going to go up, and because of the fact that people betting them they're going to go up and people believe in the concept. So his company go up, his stocks goes up 1,000 times or 2,000 times. And to them, whatever the investment, it makes sense for them. So that's like borrowing other people's homework, even though the company itself, but in dentistry is a little bit different. Okay, dentistry, is very different, but in dentistry, we actually makes money. So if you compare apples to apple, we actually makes money, but then the more bigger that we are, the more money we will make as far as, the cap table. The longer it goes, we'll make more money because our number will get bigger and bigger. And that's why all these company now they want to become a DSO. Before you don't see that many. Before 20 years ago, you don't see that many. You only have a couple. But now it's more and more because people see that this is the way to make more money because somebody else is betting on it, and you put $1 on it yourself, you invest it, and that dollar become $1,000 later on. So that makes sense for them to invest their money. It's just basically pure investment, but you have a much more return if you invest it in your own business because you know the business instead of you buying a stock that you don't really know the business very well. and you just, investing in yourself in a way. So that's basically part of the equation. And Allison was saying that, if you become, solo, you get maybe 3 to 4 times, other people would just pay you 3 or 4 times. But when you create your own and you drive your own destiny, just like, Dr. John, when he first started, he worked for somebody else. He worked for a DSO. And now when he do his own offices, he can drive his own boat. So we can design our own destiny. When you design your own destiny, and then you have a group of people that has the same vision and the skill set, and then we can learn from other people who have done this before. Now you have a much bigger, audience,
Um,
Go ahead.
I can give some numbers, but it's not writing. I can do verb. Let's say your DSO's valued 10 million, right?
Mhm.
And 35% of the 10 million is given to any dentist that joined this DSO. And let's say we have 10 dentists that joined this DSO. So 35% of 10 million is 3.5 million. And now you divide it to 10 dentists, that's 350,000, right? So how much is 350,000? You need to input it. Like you need to put $350,000 to own a share on a DSO. But let's say this DSO is like it's no longer 10 million, right? It went up to 12 times. 12 times, right? So now you 350,000, that one share you own for this DSO at $350,000 went up 10 times. So that's like 3.5 millions, right? Because you go from 10 millions. So the share that you purchased at the beginning of the DSO is 350,000, but as the DSO grow, the EBITDA grow, then that 350 is no longer worth 10 million. It's not valued at 10 million. So if it's value at, let's say we produce $40 million a year and it goes up to like 10 times the EBITDA, then your 350 million just went up 10 times. So we issue 100 shares, and let's say at the cash event, we want investor to come in or practice it. We evaluate the whole DSO. So let's say it makes $40 million a year, then it's a 10 times EBITDA. Then at that point, your 350,000 shares will go up 10. I mean, the difference between like, anyways, to keep it simple, let's say it went up 10 times, right? Then that's your equity that you can take when you sell it. So let's say someone joined the DSO when it's value at 10 times. Then 350,000 they might only purchase like 0.01% share equity now. So if you join at 10 million versus 40 million, you might get one share versus like 0.01 share, same dollar amount. It's like it's a stock market. Like it goes like if the stock is more valuable, $350,000 not worth one share. It's probably worth 0.001 now. So yeah, I'm not sure if that makes sense. I mean,
No, I think what you're saying is similar to what I said earlier. Is to make it very simple is that, if it go up, your dollar, like your $100, if it will go up 10 times, like your $10,000, will be $100,000. Just like your $350,000 will become $3.5 million over time. And this is only at 10 times EBITDA. In case you got up like Amazon or Tesla, they went up so many, okay, so many times, then your numbers actually will get more. The key is you have to be in the beginning stage. And right now we are in the founder stage. So, that's where we start off being, the beginning of the growth curve, and then that's the more important part. Just like in any business, in the beginning part, is where the big money is being made. Later on, when it becomes a bigger company, like everybody can buy Amazon or buy Tesla Amazon now or Apple, they're expensive, a lot more expensive to buy when they used to before they become IPO, they were probably nothing, like, 5 cents to $1 was like nothing. You can buy so many of them. It's like the same thing compared to Bitcoin used to be like nothing. Now that $1 Bitcoin became $100,000, or maybe not 100, maybe it went back down a little bit, maybe like 60 or $70,000. $1 becomes $70,000, a big jump.
Yeah, so
That's where the number is. That's where the money is.
yeah, so private equity do not want your revenue. It stays with the DSO. What private equity wants is to sell you in 5 years. So when let's say private equity give us like, I don't know, like $20 million, and then in 5 years the DSO is worth 80 million like annual revenue. They don't want to share. They're not profit sharing here. They just say, okay, you make $80 million a year. This DSO is worth 280 million. I invested 20 million. Now let's sell it. That's why you're forced to sell as a DSO every 5 years, because you investor want to get out of there. I mean, the same thing for startups. We have to sell every 5 years. And every 5 years when we sell, we lose some equity. We lose some control of the DSO. But the CEO is hired to drive it to a certain number so the investors make money. So if you had 280 million and they invested 20 million, it's probably like 18 times now, like $20 million times 18 times. It's probably 360 million that the investor will take home. But they don't get any income. Like as a dentist, like we had an associate, we get an income from the associate, right? Like we paid him 30% or 38%. We get an income, right? Still, if you run a business efficiently. But these investors, they don't do profit sharing. All they do is like every 5 years, you grow the DSO from 10 million to like 80 million. Now it's worth like 280 million. I want to cash it out. You are forced to sell to another private equity, to another group, so I can cash it out. So that's how these investors make money at the very beginning stage. So like which DSO you should join is, yes, we should look at the numbers, but also the vision, the goal, and that's part of business plan. And that's part of your bylaws. Like, are you happy with the bylaws to govern everyone? But it comes from the business plan. Like the business plan has to tell you like that's how I convince my engineer to work for me, my my team to stay with me for years, because they have to understand my business plan. They have to understand my vision.
What is your business plan for this? That's my question.
We need NDA first. So
Even if let's say I signed the NDA, blah blah blah. What is your business plan?
I think ultimately
what bond us together, I guess.
the business
Okay,
plan.
Dr. Liu, let me answer this question. Our business plan is we as dentists, we hope we have the same vision. We bonding together, multiple. We still do the same thing. We have to still treat the patient, use our whole heart. If we treat the patient good, we get a good benefit, right? We still have to expand our skill. But the thing, we do everything in dentistry, but for the equity part, yeah, this is today Dr. Han talking about. Yeah. And in the beginning, I'm talking about three aspects. First one is patient retention. I'm a dentist, but I never go to the U.S. dental school. I just run. I have a 3 office. I just run according to what I'm thinking. But after almost 20 years passed, right now I visit each office, like Dr. Hui, Dr. Han office, and Dr. Chen office. I realize I'm really agreed what I do before, Yeah, especially for the past 10 years, I feel kind of stupid. I just want to focus on the implant. This is my favorite part. It's good. You make profit. But what I see some of the group, like Dr. Han talking about their friend, but they are making the equity. Just like Dr. Huan talking about, we actually, as dentists, we don't know about this that much. But fortunately, and here, Dr. Hui, Dr. Han, they have their own experience, own knowledge, so they can guide us go through the way. We still do our own business, but one day, for today, you join us, then we bonding together, we achieve another level. This is our business plan. Yeah, okay. But for the detail, the reason we want to each one of the signed NDA is to protect care first, also protect you, protect the doctors. We have to NDA like the agreement. We have to based on the understanding what we are going to do. We have a lot of the detail. For example, sometimes is a business the secret, like hygiene department. Before I never thinking about hygiene. I think hygiene don't make money, But until someday, some doctor told me each hygiene can produce almost 5,000 a day. That scared me. How they do that? So this is kind of the thing, okay? And also, I'm kind of I'm an original oral surgeon, I don't care. I just want to do the surgery, blah, blah, blah. But 1 hour I go to the office, I saw them. They treat their patient very gentle. No pain. 1 hour, you even the little technique I learned, the injection, the non-patient. Okay, they say they see me use the longer 27 needle. They say, doctor, don't do this. Okay, let me show you the way. And numb the patient. Okay, that's the thing. It's a lot of this kind of thing we want to share with our group.
Yeah, so I agree with Dr. Zhang. Like I'm not saying that you as a founder will not participate in the business plan formation. Like, for example, right, McDonald's a franchise. By the time you join McDonald's, the business plans that you have to buy the burger, meat, the everything from McDonald's, that's their business plan. So if you want to be part of McDonald's as a franchise business model, you need to pay a premium to buy the food, the clothes, everything, right? Like the architect or the renovation company has to be approved by McDonald's or come from McDonald's, or McDonald's going to do it for you and they're going to charge you. So that's an example of a business plan. Like a business plan can be like, we all have to have a hygienist in the whole clinic. I mean, it's a good example. Like if you have an associate, you have to make sure the associate makes $6,000 a month. That's another example of business plan. I mean, there's so many ways to build this business plan, to build a type of DSO. And as a founding dentist, we can present you the one that we come up with, and then you can agree or disagree with us, and we can finite this business plan together. But those are things that is set forth. Like you cannot sell the next 5 years if you join the DSO. Like some DSOs like run by private equity, and they own 50% of DSO. They're like, well, we don't care. Just get this DSO. We don't care about what you do in patient quality care. We're just going to cut down the instruments or cut down the costs, right? Take any insurances and then drive it to $40 million a year. I mean, that's a business plan as well. If it's like 50% owned by a private equity, because all they look is the bottom line. If I drive you to $40 million, but not a healthy way by cutting the staff or the instruments or like cutting costs, right? Then that is a business plan. And do you want to join such a DSO? It depends, right? So yeah, you have to sign NDA. You have to understand what kind of business model that we want to set forth. So for anyone that join us, it has a minimum standard to meet. I mean, if you exceed the standard, then great. And that's why we Dr. Zhang and Dr. Hui and we talk about organic growth, because we all know that there's not much to cut anymore. There's not a whole lot to cut. I mean, the material can cut it, the lab can cut it, but there's not a whole lot. This is not the best business model. This is not the best business plan to cut love, cut supply, cut stuff, like to cut your own material. Like, there's not, because of the inflation, there's not a whole lot to cut. So you can see a little bit, or business plans going towards how can we generate more profit for you in a healthy way. So you see a little bit of business plan, but the detail of it, you know, we can talk more.
Yeah, I think in the beginning we talked about the patient retention and the expanded clinical skill. And also we already start training our member to do the extend their clinical skill. Like this time in the Dr. Tan in Seattle, and there we have the training on the Dr. Han is she have the training in the call center, and she will teach us how to do the full arch reconstruction on the teeth. Okay, yeah. Recently, I studied this. I'm the implant guy, but recently I studied this part. It's very interesting and very practical to apply this clinical skill to your
Sorry.
Mhm.
Because you have to know it either way. Implants are just like teeth. Okay, they're still teeth. Like it or
Yeah.
not, you're gonna know it. And we also in our group we also have people that's gonna teach you about the MGE. Most
Mhm.
likely it's gonna be for free. And then we have other people teaching other type of occlusion as well. But
Mhm.
obviously we want to focus, what we have at this point. And then but
Should I present organic growth?
please.
Okay, I mean, it's a lot tonight. I mean, we were not planning to present organic growth, how to grow your practice for the EBITDA, but it's kind of part of business plan. But I want to make sure that we answer the EBITDA and the cap table, the equity well, because those are two concepts that generates the most money for you. I'm not sure Dr. Huan have any, like, is it clear, or do you have any more questions before we? If not, then I just gonna present it a little bit. So that's not it. So what we're proposing is the organic growth and the value proposition that we're thinking. I mean, we haven't finished a business plan yet. We're still working on it. One of the things is using data. And so when you use data, use AI. For example, well, okay, if you pay someone $25 an hour, a second front office, 3 days a week, the base salary is about $31,000. The payroll tax is about this much. The health care benefit, even a part-time, if you want to give them, health care, because dentistry is usually 3 or 4 days anyways, and then the retirement match. So the total compensation for a staff that works 8 hours a day, 3 times a day, it's this dollar amount. So you have one front office and 2 hygienists, 1 dentist, and 2 assistant, and then 1 front office, right? And then if you have a second front office, you have to hire this much. And this is actually one of the doctors that I went to visit, and those are the numbers that we're looking at, because this is very much her practice. She's a Coys dentist. And she works 3 days, Tuesday to Thursday, and she'll have 1 front office, 2 dental assistants, 2 hygienists, and herself. And she just she sees about 7 patients a day, but she just hired new assistants, so she's up to 10 patients a day now. So it took her a while to find a second assistant, so she cut down her revenue a little bit because of that. So she's fee for service, and yeah. So and then we look at the value proposition for what we call data-driven decision making, the DDDM. So every industries are here. So if you take data and you make a decision based on data, like for example, you're like, oh, look, all my hygienists booked out for the next 6 months. No one can get in. Then you might want to hire another hygienist. And that's based on data, not like how you feel. So those data can be presented for like a forecast, for example. Then you make a business decision based on data. And I think because I still practice until January. July last year, I still practiced 3 days, and then January, I'm cut down to once a month now. It's actually easier to detach yourself from your own practice, because before that, I think there's a personal attachment and you cannot make that kind of decisions objectively. But if you work once a month, you can actually cut down your emotion, and you can just look at a number and make a decision that way. But before that, it was harder for me. Even I had a number, it was really hard for me to do it, just because I was working inside the team, inside the practice. So these are the numbers given to us by different industry. So if you use data, what's the increase of revenue, production increase you expected if you have data? I'm not talking about AI, I'm just saying data visualization, have all your data. So this client of us wanted to understand what's increased, because she only have one front office, and the second front office would be like help them to document the data manually. Some data they wanted it didn't have from other companies, so she wanted the staff to document data and other things, obviously. But so in healthcare, it's about 5 to 15% if you use data to make decisions, business decisions. So well, if LifeSeed AI calculate, your collection at a time service up to 99% accurate, in dentistry, there's 10 to 15% that you can not collect. You produce, but you cannot, if you, like, let's say your staff forgot to collect the buildup because the buildup's not covered, and they did not know that's not covered, there's like $200 gone, right? So with the AI system, there's like 20,000 insurance plan out there. The AI system will say, hey, you might want to collect the buildup in case you submit the buildup and the crown prep, like Cigna, for example, on the same day, then the buildup will not be covered. But if you submit the buildup today and then the crown prep on a seat day, then the buildup will be covered. But just in case, just collect $200 for your buildup. So if you don't know these nuances, you might end up writing off $150,000 a year just because you don't want to collect $200 from this patient, and they end up writing a bad review for you and this and that, right? So data-driven decisions will make another $150,000 if you take 15%. And if you cut down one additional staff, it's about $41,000. And they say that every new patients or existing patients that come in, there's a difference between leads and conversion. I know I'm going fairly fast here, but this is just a showcase that if you improve your conversion rate from the lead, like leads like, hey, I present a crown for you, or there's marketing leads, like when a patient found you online and then they book an appointment, that's a marketing conversion, the lead and the conversion. And they have sales lead and sales conversion. I say, hey, you need an implant. The patient say, hey, I'll do the implant. So depending on how your team present this and how accurate and how fast, like sometimes my patients like, I need to go. If you don't get the treatment plan to me within the next 3 minutes, I'm gone. So it's hard to really close that implant. So my team has to like work, like coordinate it before the hygiene patients come out. They need to have that treatment plan ready, show it, book the appointment. It has to be done within less than 4 minutes, 3 minutes. So if you have a good sales conversions, a lot of consulting firms say that you can, go up to like 200,000, 800,000. Like if you do a full mouth, right? If you do one full mouth, you close like 40, 50,000 case. So the sell conversion can translate to this kind of number if you have a good system to convert. So the total increase of revenue using the AI system here and the data here and the AI system here, and then improving your conversion because you can get this treatment plan, the back office, front office, can be, if you 350 to 1 based on the $1 million practice. So, and then I think last time we talked about, sorry, I put this very fast, about the OSA, right? Like if you turn this OSA patients, 25 from the existing patients, 40 from marketing, what's the dollar from OSA itself? So those are different numbers that we try to incorporate into the business plan, but those are just some samples. I didn't finish putting it together, but I definitely don't think, like most DSO, cutting more corners like costs or staff or like use a cheaper lab is really the solution for us as a DSO model here. But yeah, I know I went really fast. I'm sorry. The purpose was not to go this fast or deliver this much tonight.
I think Eddie have more question.
No, I don't have any question. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
hey,
you're very bright. So that's
No, no,
you're
I'm
very
not.
bright. So I'm sure
I'm
you have
not.
some
I'm
question.
just trying to figure out what, because you guys will force us to sell, right?
No,
So
no, no. We cannot force anybody to sell. I'm not really into forcing people to sell. I think ultimately, you
no,
know,
I mean, once you get acclimated,
yeah.
you do your due diligence, you get all the synchronization of software and all that. You're in the circle, as you call, and you found you know, a venture capitalist or private equity, and then if there is a buyer, you're selling. Yeah,
I think if you
you're
go that,
selling at your EBITDA,
right,
and
if the
according
money,
to your financial situation, your EBITDA and your cap rate,
right,
right?
if
You
the
have
if
to.
the
That's
number is
part of the
right,
agreement.
yeah. Well, it's not like, okay, we haven't really seen part of the agreement. The NDA between you and me is only 2 page, okay? It's not like, 26 pages purchase agreement, okay, brother? I
Oh
just
no, no, I know,
it's a
I know. NDA
simple,
is. I know.
it's a
No, no.
simple NDA form. It's not really compared to purchase and sell agreement.
I'm
The
talking about the best case scenario.
best
Like
case scenario.
you have to be selling and ready to.
If the number is right, like for
Right.
example, you sell a house, right?
Mhm.
I was thinking to, I was entertained to sell my house. I say, okay, if you give my house worth, my first house, okay, I have 3 houses that I'm staying right now. On my first house, I use it for storage. I was thinking to, well, maybe I should sell it because I have opportunity. I can write off 250. I don't have to pay, additional capital gain. So I'll say, okay, if I sell it at this number, I don't have to pay anything. That makes sense. But if I can sell it at double the value, then it makes sense because you're not really tied down to a house. Okay. You can buy a bigger house later on. It's not like saying that you cannot buy a bigger house. The fact is, once you know what you know, like what I mentioned last time, once you know what you know, you can repeat this process many times.
Yes,
Over
as Ellison was saying, like
as
once
anything
every
else.
5 years.
Yeah, before when I was first started, I would say, oh, I never sell my practice. I always, because that's my baby and this and that. But then I start seeing my friends selling their practice and then they make good money on it and then they buy more and then they sell more and every single time
Mm-hmm.
they make more money. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that makes sense to me. I say, why am I holding on something? I mean, I'm not married to it. And I see my friends selling all the offices that is very far away from him. Like he had to drive like an hour to go
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sell those, and he buy right around his house.
Right.
He bought like 6 practice around his house. And the first thing he did, he buy the plaza first. He buy the plaza, he used his profit, buy the plaza, own the plaza, rent out the rest of the stuff, and keep his practice. And then, he have a certain way to do it. So he built a bigger practice, like 25 operatory, and then he have a certain way to grow his practice.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, work from like 3 o'clock to like 6 because he's an ortho guy, so he just do that. And then he have all his GP basically work for him. So I
Mm-hmm.
see how he does it, and I think that you're not married to your practice. You basically it's a business decision. You're supposed to be working on your practice instead of in your practice. So there's opportunity that if you desire, you can go that route. It's not something that you have to, I mean, the NDA is not going to stop you from doing anything, okay? A purchase agreement, maybe, but even though the one that I sent it to my associate is like 20 pages, it's an independent contractor agreement, but that's pretty standard. But the fact of the matter is the high and low of it, okay? The high end, like Dr. Allison was saying that, oh, okay, we can do, up to 18 times EBITDA. If people is willing to pay you 18 times your numbers, I'll sell it because
Yes,
it's a good
of
number.
course.
Why am I holding on to it? With the 18 times I can buy, 10 more practice on myself and I do it over and over again.
My question is, let's say you have um, found a private equity guy
Yes.
who's ready to buy and pay.
Eddie, one thing that we have to remember here is that this DSO is not owned by private equity. The like a cash event that trigger private equity involvement, the longer you delay, the better it is for everyone. A lot of DSOs, unfortunately, are owned by private equity. So that's something Dr. Zhang, Dr. Hu, and I have to decide. Because if we don't involve private equity, let's say your practice is 1 million and we don't want to buy your practice, but let's say we say, okay, 200,000 going to go to equity. So Eddie, this is your equity cap. The cap table will give you like 2% for $200,000.
Right.
And the remaining, we don't want to buy it from you. So if we don't want to buy it from you, then what do we do with this, right? Then we're like, okay.
My question is, why don't you want to buy it from me? Why would I still join your DSO if you don't want to buy it from me?
Because there's another route. There's another route that we can go for. So that route we're not very solidified yet. We were trying to explore a little bit more. The other route is that, let's say we grow your practice to $2 million. Obviously, it's more advantageous for us to buy your 1 million than grow your 2 million than buy your 2 million, right? So as a DSO, we do want to buy you, but on the other hand, as a business plan, we do not want private equity to be involved at this stage because it's just not good. Because private equity, you got to remember, we're dentists. Private equity are finance people. They just make money. We're dentists. It's different. We're trained differently. So if you involve private equity, we buy you 1 million. Yes, it's much more advantageous. But also private equity will force, even Dr. Hu is the CEO, he can force him to drive this number of 15% annually and sell at 5 years mark. I mean, that's not even like an if. This is a certainty. The moment we involve private equity in this DSO and we purchase you, they're going to have to drive this 15% growth. So we're forced to buy practices or grow organically or, whatever you want to do, right? But 15% is the minimum benchmark as a CEO. That's your mandated, that's what you're hired to do. And then in 5 years, you're forced to sell everyone. So that's what private equity want. It's pretty strict, the rules to play with private equity. So is it advantageous for me to buy your practice at 1 million and have private equity involved? Yes, absolutely. But if we don't want to have private equity involved, then we're going to grow your practice to 2 million, let's say 5 years from now. Then as a DSO, it's not advantageous for us to buy you 2 million. So there's certain things that we can do saying that, hey, we don't want private equity. It's good for everyone. We didn't cap at 1 million. The $1 million profit you make couldn't be part of the DSO. Like I said, we're not set, that the business plan is not set in stones. And as a founding member, you have the opportunity to participate in this business plan. But this business plan has to be like crystal clear. And we all have to agree. And everyone that joined the DSO in the future had to abide by it. But right now, the DSO is not formed. So we can come up with some agreement so that we don't give you like 20 options, but maybe like 3 options. And as a founding member, you have the right to participate and say what works for you.
What are the options? Like, I know Harold was saying there's an option like you just described, but there's also an option that if you pay your monthly due, then your gain of organic growth become your equity, not part of the DSO.
So I don't want to confuse everyone here. I think
I know.
yeah, we need to have a presentation about what this business plan's about.
Okay. Let me know when that presentation is. I'll sign up.
Yes.
Yes.
But they're good question, Eddie. Dr.
Yeah.
Liu, they're good questions.
I thought that was this presentation.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Eddie.
Thank you, Dr. Liu. I think Dr. Huan, you have a question? You want to share?
No, I don't have question. Thank you for your answer. I still don't understand the whole thing, but if any, later if you explain a little more, if it's okay,
You
I
can
can
ask questions.
participate
Were you
again.
just asking
But
questions?
I don't really have questions. I really don't understand any of
Okay.
this.
I know, me too.
Okay.
Yeah, just like
Well,
me.
I mean, I think the long and short of it is we're I guess to make it simple and how should I put it? It's kind of like there's a different possibility in life. Okay, you can go different route. You can, like today, if you want to sell practice, like we just met 3 years ago. We don't know what's anybody. So one day we want to sell practice. We're to find somebody to buy our practice, and usually the one who pay us the most is DSO. So we'll find a DSO when you will work for them for maybe 5 years. Most of them, they're going to ask you to work for them for 5 years, and they're not going to give you any equity. Okay, so they just tell you, okay, this is the rule. You want to sell it to me, I'll pay you this much. I'll pay you this much according to what our system is. We'll pay you this much, and then we'll buy you. And then you just say, okay, I want to sell, I want to buy. And most people usually just go with it. Because what's the other alternative? The other alternative, you sell it to a dental students. The dental students probably they have to wait for the bank. The bank, whatever the bank loan them the money, then they will buy your practice. If the bank doesn't pay, then you have to carry the mortgage. So that's really the two traditional way. What we're saying is, what if we can have, in a way that we create our own bank, and then we can group together and work in a goal similar how these people are treating us. And then we decide our own destiny. When we become part of the founders, we can decide, okay, this is the way we can go. And at the same time, we learn from each other and how we can profit. Obviously, we're not going to, take what you learn. You pay, a small amount of dollar to learn these things, and we want to share with you. But then again, we cannot, what I found out, and this is not just me, it's just that if you don't pay anything to learn something, you don't really treat it as value. Okay. Same thing if you would tell a patient, oh, all dentistry is free. People would just, oh, I'll make the appointment. I'll change the appointment tomorrow. And none of their account is going to be free anyway. So that's why we had to charge something. But we also have a no fee, that you got to enjoy without any fee. So we can offer you discount because when we buy things as a group, you also benefit from it. So you actually benefit as already a DSO, getting cheaper fees and cheaper supplies and fully digitize your office without really have to spend too much money. That in itself is already a value, on its own. Because, instead of you had to do everything yourself, somebody else already doing most of the work for you. So that itself it makes sense, and some of us like Dr. Hans had to, gone through all these classes with Kois. And then she basically understand the whole concept and implementation and be able to tell you the shortcut and give it to you in 2 days. So that's like, a lot of things to learn. So when you learn these things, you understand, okay, now I learned about organic growth, and the John is going to work out the sleep apnea protocol. So this way, we also learn these things. Obviously, our goal is to create a protocol together as far as a business plan, so we can map it out what's the best for us. Ultimately, we just want to be successful as a dentist and also make additional money with the equity part. Because we see all these people doing the equity part and they profit a lot more than what they do themselves. Just like the example that I used, Amazon losing money for 10 years, and I know Uber, they all lost money for 10 years, but the board, the founders of, Amazon, the founders of, Uber, they all do very, very well because everybody's, is paying them to do what they do. And because they go into a different equity level. So equity is basically a finance term for us to become more profitable in an inorganic way. So that's one of the things that we wanted to tap into. So that's like using other people's, money to grow ourselves. So that's, in the short and long of it to make it a little bit easier. I mean, we can still go back to our own, system that we work hard and working in our business, but is that the best model? Or we sell it to a DSO, is that the best model? We don't have choices. So that's why we want to have some choices ourselves. We figure out, okay, we can work together and create some choices ourselves so we can make it easier for ourselves, not only can capitalize on the opportunity, but also profit more individually. I mean, that's what I think is our starting point. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, and I don't want to tell anybody that I have a crystal ball. We're gonna, all make, millions and billions of dollars. I'm not saying that, but the least we can do is grow our practice and be successful. The NDA is only 2 pages. It's not, it's less than a consent form. Okay, it's to me. I mean, I don't want to say anything that is not appropriate, but to me, I sign so many NDA. It's just similar to consent form. But you learn. But every opportunity you have to be ready for. Just like before the patient comes in, I learned that you have to prepare to check the insurances ahead of time and prepare to do these things ahead of time when the opportunity comes. You don't wait until after the opportunity to decide what you want to do. So right now we have the opportunity to become founders and become, a mover, an influential, determination on where we're going to go, and we can design our own path. And that's why that becomes a worthwhile condition, and because we're mostly friends in this webinar all the time. So that's why we think that this will be a good culture to start with. And that's basically what I, wanted to say. And there, I don't know, John, if you have anything else you want to add to it.
Yeah, I think basically you're already talking about that, and we hope in future we can bonding together to achieve something big.
Substantial.
You know?
That's, I think, great
Yeah.
for our cultural group, and also for our unity as well. That's basically what our first goal was, to create a better group for us, that we can become successful and influential in the US market.
Right.
The rest we just have to see, if God's willing, we can go many places. So.
I think merger acquisition is very feasible, especially these are established and generating revenue practices already. But I think one of the key elements when you join DSO is to understand who the CEO work for. So the CEO is working for private equity. Private equity sold goal is to make money, right? But I think here we try to delay private equity. We try to really work for patients, for the clinic. So our approach is how we get to those millions of dollars. It's very different. So the approach will be very different. It should be reflected in the business plan. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself when you join DSO, somehow you don't have a choice, right? Because all the DSO is working for a private equity group right now. So it's to really ask yourself, who am I working for? And who you work for tells you how they're going to drive the money part, the growth part. So I think because we're all dentists here and we all understand how hard it is to run a business, how important is our patient care, we take honor in helping patients and our team. So I think as an owner, it's a bit different than private equity, because private equity, it's just foreign. They don't know how it is to be a dentist or a dental practice owner. It's very foreign to them. They never have that experience. All they have is finance knowledge. So obviously it's just going to drive profit. And whether or not it's a healthy way or not, they don't really know. So so I think we have to keep that in mind, that the business plan has to reflect the fact that we're all dentists here.
Yeah, I think that's the core value, what we want to establish. And I think when and this is the part that I didn't really share with Allison either. When I talked to, Align Dental Partners, I mean, Chris was very, very excited. And then, he was basically telling me that, we're one of the best, if not the best group that have, strength in all these area. And we're not only exceptional, but we're very, very, top in all the stuff that he see. So that's why he's really wanted to share with us, even though I told him that, you cannot fly there. You say, we really want to iron out, the next 1 week to 2 week to make sure we have an opportunity. But, what I'm saying is, they really want to talk to us because of our core value. Okay, because not only are we pro-patient, we're pro-dentist, we're not really here to make, to rip people off. We're here to sustain long term and also be creating the blue ocean in every single area that we do. And that's really should be our core value. And how we can create that with the members that we have, how to we take them to a different level. That's what we really wanted to do. And then to join the private equity, like Allison say, it would be a later on event. But the good thing is if we can delay that at a later time, and then every single time when the private equity trying to roll us, they will roll us 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. A lot of times they usually do it like, for a standard, like, 1 to 3 times minimum. And then when we do that, each time our equity grow up, if not double, triple, or quadruple. And that's why you get up to like 18 times or more, if you hit those numbers. So that's why you borrow the equity part to take us without really working on it, without really working on the stuff, your money just exponentially grow, just kind of like, some investment that we make. So that part makes sense, like I mentioned about Amazon, about Ubers, that's how we make, our money. But then that's a separate financial things that we wanted to tap into. But the goal and the core value is still doing, what we do, pro dentist, pro patients. And, we have to be exceptionally well and extraordinary in a way that we focus on our strategy in the blue ocean situation.
And I agree with what Dr. Hui say here. I just gave you an example with Evident Alliance, which is like a DSO group that some of them are my friends actually, and LifeSeed's kind of helping them. They plateau at 50 million with 24 practices, and they acquired 2 practices, 26 practices, and it didn't go that well, right? So all I'm saying is that, I mean, and I know these practices, I mean, they don't do as well as my practice, and they're always like, hey, can you come and join us? And we're like, no, we're focusing on software. We don't want to join you guys, but we're more than happy to consult and help you guys. So the 24 practices, they make 50 million, they just plateau. They cannot find another practices to join them with the same culture. And they're all run by dentists, and they want to hit $80 million before they involve private equity. And that $30 million gap is where they're stuck at. So I don't think NDPO is going to have this problem, I think, because I mean, just look at the number of practices in this platform, right? I think Chris is ADP, Aligned Dental Partners, and he's seeing the same. He's like, I don't think you guys are going to have this growth problem because you're not going to run out of friends. And trust is a main key element that drives this DSO. And Evident Alliance, they're private equity right now, and it's very smart for them. Like since 2018, so it's very smart for them to not involve private equity yet. But right now they don't know what to do because they just hit this problem issue. How to expand to 80 million before they go ahead and involve private equity. So the longer delay private equity, the better it is. So we can form a group, and the business plan can clearly say, hey, we don't want to purchase you like private and involve. Like I say, we will present the business plan after you sign and NDA, and it's not something set in concrete. You have the participation to involve. And what's nice about Evan Alliance as an example is that they're all friends, they're all dentists. So I see the same for us, right? And but the potential is much more bigger than 24 practices. So I mean, I just want to give this example because a lot of us haven't done DSO before, and I know like Dr. Juan said, I think you're not the only person that feel foreign. it's very scary, but anything that you do the first time is scary. It's supposed to be scary. If it's not scary, that means that you're not growing, you're not learning, right? If I do the same filling, the same crown every day, it's very safe, but I'm not growing as a human being. I'm not learning. So, and then when it comes to selling practice, it is change. It's inevitable. It's just whether or not you want to plan this thing 5 years, 10 years ahead so that you have not just the self your practice, but equity on your side. And like I say, you know, like we've seen like how other dentists done before, and it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just how much we trust each other, and where not our visions and goals are aligned.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat that you'll be able to share the NDA. Of course, I think Dr. John is have the NDA ready, and Dr. John will post it in the group. So and anybody can take a look at the NDA. Like I say, it's probably like 2 page. It's really short. It's nothing major. It's not like it's just basically similar to a very generic consent form that we make our patient sign. Okay, but that's basically what we have, and I think it's important that we know who is a little bit more serious about growth and working together instead of just purchase discount material. That's something that I think is important to us. So, Dr. John, you have anything you want to add?
Yes, I'm going to pass the NDA to the. I think we are going to form because here we have some the English speaking doctor here. The WeChat, not good. I may well let me think about that. Maybe we make a list. Okay. Let the other join us in the WeChat group or the WhatsApp group.
No, we
Okay.
have the WeChat group already. So maybe if you have already copy, because last time you showed me a copy of it, you can put that copy in the group, and whoever signed it and send it back to
Okay.
you, and then we can form a for the American doctor, we can put in the WhatsApp group, so we
Okay.
can do that and go from there.
Okay.
It'll be easier.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, it's been
Everyone.
almost like 2 hours. I thought it's going to be 1 hour, but it
Thank
takes
you.
2 hours. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Eddie has a lot of questions, and I'm glad I can clear a little bit of it. And then we're counting on you, Eddie, to help us to make the giant step, and all of us to work together. And that's really our hope that we
Yeah, we hope we can meet in person soon. Okay.
I mean, it's
think
a lot of information. Wait, Amalia. I know it's a lot of information tonight, and I think you guys did great. And Dr. Huan and Dr. Liu, I really appreciate the questions. I feel like the more question you ask, the better this will be, because we need I mean, there's no silly questions, right? Like if you don't understand this, it's a lot of information, will go very fast. Someone else don't understand it neither. So we don't know what you don't understand until you ask us. And there's really no silly questions. I mean, we're all dentists, we're all colleagues here. It's important that we make sure everyone understands and this goes well.
Absolutely. And then you can ask as many questions even after you sign any paper. I mean, like I said, the NDA is only a 2 page. It's not even like it's not even equivalent to associate, independent associate contracts. And honestly, my associate, they don't really look at those things. It just, it's just like the general consent form that we send to the patient. Just saying that give us the permission to just talk to each other. So that's really what's it for. But ultimately, our goal should be how we can work together to help each other to grow. And that's really the bottom line. Well, if not any other question, I thank everyone to the time. We go out a little bit longer than we expected. And I want to thank everyone. Thank you, Dr. John, Dr. Allison, for your help and put this thing together. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Dr. Gao. Can't wait to talk to you and your son. And then all the people in the group. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.